Yeah. All right. Hi, everybody. This is Stanton West here, and I'm here with John Smith over in Trempealeau, Wisconsin. And he is an international recording artist and an amazing storyteller. So I thought today we would kind of pick his brain about storytelling and how he gets storytelling into his songs. Hi, John.
Hey, Stanton, how you doing, man? Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah.
So let's hear it. What do you got how do we become great storytellers as songwriters?
Well, it's funny when you gave me a heads up that we'd be talking about storytelling, and for me, it's of course it's storytelling slash songwriting, and I think of it. I think of storytellers kind of in two different categories. And one of them is storytelling where you're really telling your story. You're really telling your story of your history, like where you're from or what you believe in, or you're writing a story.
You're kind of telling your truth too, as well.
Kind of telling your truth and your story. You might be talking about your job or your family or your traveling, but it definitely always has your truth in it. So there's that side of it. And then the other kind of storytelling, actually in songwriting as well, where you totally make up, you're totally making up a story. You're creating a story, just like it's like somebody writing a book where they're telling, they might be telling their story. It's almost autobiographical, but it's not. Versus a novel where they just totally make it up. Just out of thin air, they make up, which some of the greatest things we've ever read are made up that way. So, and songwriters are the same way. Some songwriters never write a song about themselves. It's always made up. And whereas I am one of those people that I do write about my own story, so to speak. In my songwriting. So,
well, there's often you hear the advice in songwriting: write what you know, because that's what comes easier, and it's easier to be authentic, and it's easier to come up with the material because when you're writing about another story or another person's story or a story you've made up, you almost have to go and do the research.
Yeah, say you were writing a song about Abraham Lincoln or something. You got to have all your facts right. You just can't make up stuff about, you got to get your facts as good as you can.
Yeah. Anyway. And you have to project some emotion onto it too, and and kind of guess what, because good storytelling and good songwriting is, finding empathy or finding the emotion in there and
I think that's definitely the key. There's definitely emotion when we read books and when we read books and we read poetry and so forth. But one of the reasons, something I believe real strong about in music, in that I never know how to quite put this in words, but the actual aspect of musical notes, the vibration of a chord and singing, it's one of those things that the ego, the mind, the rational mind that judges and rationalizes everything, it's never figured out what to do with music. Music sneaks in the back door. And so that's why it's such a powerful tool to be able to tell our stories and our truth, or whatever you want to call it, with music. Because sometimes when we tell it without the music and stuff like that, it's just all going through the brain, the filter of the brain, of somebody's mind. Whereas when you do it with music, man, it just sneaks in the back door, and all of a sudden, like you just were, I think, saying, it opens up your heart, it opens up your emotional place, and all of a sudden, and then of course it is an art form, and definitions of art is, I guess, is just noticing beauty And there's something beautiful about taking these very few words in this little bit of music and mixing them into an art form that that makes us feel lighter and happier or sadder or whatever it is, but it makes us feel. And so anyway, I'm kind of drifting a little away from the original question about storytelling. But, another thing I guess I would say about it, that when I'm teaching songwriting, this is true whether you're telling a story in your song, because there's several kinds of songs even, but some songs are really story songs that really have, beginning, middle, and end. But some songs are more thematic. They're about a theme, you know what I mean? And the theme could simply be movement or just traveling down the road. You know what I mean? There's not much, but what I do like in songwriting is that it's always going somewhere, that it's always a journey. Like when we're writing a song, even if we look at it in real simple ways of verses and choruses and bridges in our songs, I think us listeners, we want to be kept interested. You know what I mean? And we want it to progress. And here's our first verse about this, and then it gets a little juicier, the next verse. And then there's this chorus which kind of fits with everything. And then we go back to some other unique little thing with a twist or something. So it's always kind of moving ahead. And where sometimes when we first start writing songs, we might really have just said the same thing in every verse. It wasn't moving ahead so much, because I know I'm guilty. I don't even remember my first songs hardly. I remember when I first started writing, and I loved the process, but I don't play those songs anymore because my songs have evolved. They're better now than they were then, because of that.
What are some of those elements you think that have improved for you?
Well, I guess I think in songwriting, I think about, it's like a craft. I mean, it really is. I mean, we all try to take care of our sort of awareness. So our antenna are up for interesting things that we could, as you said, write about. And then there's this other side, I guess, more of a left brain side, that's like a toolbox. There's a songwriter's toolbox with all these tools that we can go through. Like we got a hammer and a screwdriver. So the tools of songwriting might be how we use rhyme, or it might be, should this particular song and this story, should this be told in first person or second person or third person? Like I said, I can look at it in my toolbox and it says in there, checklist, is my song a journey? Oh yeah, is my song going anywhere? Have I evolved it? Or a bridge, what is a bridge in songwriting? We could talk about that a whole hour probably, but just little things like a bridge for me means a third part of a song that might musically take me somewhere different to keep it interesting, or it might bridge these parts of a song. But anyway, all those things are tools. And another tool I like to have in my toolbox is, I always call it a Zen knife. Like, did I overwrite? Do I have too many? Am I saying too much? Did I try to do too much? And do I need to get my Zen knife out and carve away some of the excess stuff that doesn't need to be there? So
right, simpler is often better sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing about it is, simple sometimes is hard. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I mean, and I think we all really like sparse songs when they come out and they all make sense. But I mean, you think of people that kind of write sparse.
Lucinda Williams comes to mind right away.
Yeah, but very sparse, and John Prine maybe, but
Yeah.
John Prine, I mean, that brings up another thing when we're talking about storytelling and songwriting and how they kind of fit side by side is uh, like when I'm teaching songwriting, I think it's a good thing for us to think about um, finding our true writer's voice. Like, like in general, when we start out writing songs or writing anything, we kind of copy who we like.
Oh
Like
yeah.
if you're a big Dylan freak and when you first pick up the guitar, I bet all those songs are going to sound like Dylan songs almost. Or if you're a Deadhead, you know what I mean? It's like every song you write, it's like Grateful Dead wrote it or
Yeah.
something. But that's all good. It's all part of the process. And then all of a sudden you're writing and all of a sudden, you write something that people say, geez, only Stanton West could have wrote that song. He really, same thing. And so trying to find your voice, and it's kind of like you ring the bell and here's your bar, and all of a sudden all your songs going ahead, you want to ring that bell, sort of, or find that bar. And so when we're talking about people like John Prine, that guy found his voice a long time ago. You know what I mean? And it's real simple. It's real simple. But then there's guys like Leonard Cohen. You know what I mean? Like that, even that great song, Hallelujah. I think he took maybe months or years to write that song.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And then there's other great songs that are written in less than an hour. They really fall out. And that's the other thing I think too is, try to create some kind of, I think I used the word awareness a little while ago, but of when we do get that spark of inspiration and we're on to a song and we go, oh my God, this is feeling really good. It's almost like a prayer, sort of like, don't let me mess this up. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like dancing with this idea. It's like come in, it's like, or it's like a bubble, when you blow little bubbles and the kids can you really catch that bubble and just hold it a minute before you pop it? It's kind of like, so songs that way, like, oh, like, shall I go here with it? Shall I kill off the person? I mean, but like, where shall I go with it? And if you have that intention, it'll tell you, like I have a song called Please Remember This. It's a song I wrote kind of for my wife, sort of. I was going to be gone for a month. And usually I don't ever go that long without her. She'll join me or something. But it was going to be a whole month. So I wrote this song. It was kind of a Valentine's Day song. And as I was writing it, I started to go down this road where it was like going to where it was in the future and I was dead or she was dead or something like that. Where's that at? And I was like, I didn't want to go there. It was like the song wanted to go there. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not in that mood now. I don't want to do that. And yet I surrendered to the whole thing. And that's where it went. And that's where it needed to go. And that's where it has the most power and stuff like that. So having that relationship, I think, with the muse like that, where you honor it. And, because the thing about the muse is sometimes it only strikes us for seconds. It's just this little aha thing. And then we use all these tools that we talk about, but geez, we get stuck all the time. I got 2 verses and chorus. I don't know where to go now. And that's also when it's nice to get a little bit of inspiration again. And then when you have a relationship with the muse, or Mary Gaucher, a songwriter I love, she calls it the genius. When you have that kind of relationship with it and you really trust it, that relationship, then you just kind of surrender to it and say, yeah, I trust it'll come. It might be in an hour. It might be tomorrow, the next day. But then another great songwriter that I've always been a fan of, I don't like everything anybody does, but there's things that just, like, I've really been a big fan of Greg Brown's over the years. And I remember several years ago, he was a keynote speaker at the Farm Folk Alliance
Oh yeah, I
thing.
was there for that.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, and somebody asked him about his process, which I thought was very interesting. And of course, he was writing songs from the age of 4 years old or so. He was in a
Oh,
family. That's just what they did. So, right, being a poet is his second nature. But he was saying in there that every now and then there's just a song where he would like roll up his sleeves and tell the song, "You're going down. You are really being sneaky here, song. You're not going down easy, but you're not getting away either." It's kind of like fishing. You
yeah.
got this big fish and it doesn't want to land. It's just saying, "Dude, you aren't going to get away. I am getting you. I am, So anyway, different approaches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Well, how about we're gonna try and wrap this up.
Mm-hmm.
How about one or two pieces of advice for aspiring songwriters that you find to be like really key, whether that's, on that, say the side of your brain that has your toolbox or the side of your brain that is more intuitive or imaginative. How about one from each?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the right brain or the intuitive part is just kind of keep those receptors up, just noticing. You know what I mean? I guess notice is a good word. Just it's so easy to not notice. It's so easy to get into a pattern. Like it's really easy to not write songs. It's very easy to not write it, to avoid, to go do your laundry or go do this or go do that. So to keep that awareness up of what do you find interesting today on your walk, or what do you find interesting in the news, or what do you find interesting about that conversation you just had with the neighbor, and then trust, and also then same with that same right brain thing is you got to trust it. It's like you got to trust. Just make a start. Sit your butt down, pick up your instrument, and just start. You know what I mean? Instead of having it all done and finished in your head, trust that the process is fun and that the inspiration will kind of be there and your craft will be there and all this thing. And Jesus, we're not going to write the greatest song ever every time we sit down. So just make it happen and let the rest fall where it's going to fall. And then on the other side, the craft side is just, keep your tools polished and cleaned in your toolbox there, and always be looking for new ones. And when we hear songs, I'm a lot older than you, Stanton. So as I get older, I love listening to new artists, young artists. That's why I love going to festivals like the Kerrville Folk Fest and staying up real late till 3 or 4 in the morning when the younger folks are still up and everybody, all us old farts are usually in bed, and going around and hearing like, what are their songs, like how the songs you write in your voice is different than my generation a little bit more. I'm older. And then there's kids that are 20 that are writing songs, and teenagers, and the style that they bring and how they phrase things, and how they play grooves, and it's all a little different. And so, but to take those in and just say, wow, man, there's another tool that can go in my toolbox and stuff like that.
That's funny you say that, because I go to Kerrville to hang out with older people like Steve Gillette, and
Steve
glean.
Gillette,
He has so much to say about things like, I love, his favorite phrases are like, we need to get all the sled dogs to pull in the same direction, or which I think is a really, or he always talks about how songwriting is like a joke craft, where if you don't tell it in the right order, or you mess up the punchline, the song or the joke doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's very good. It's like the timing of a joke and stuff like that. And I never thought, but Steve's great. I love seeing Steve down there. And I think of this last year at Kerrville. Yeah, just one night late, I was walking up by where some of the older people stay with the RVs up there.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, there was Steve Gillette and Jack Williams and what's his name, Butch Morgan, and God, there was a guy from Houston, but 7 or 8 really good songwriters. You know what I mean? And they're all older. They all were late 60s to 70s, and but man, there was some prime stuff there. But then on the other hand, like I said, I love going and hearing all these really young folks and you know,
Yeah.
their style. Yeah.
I once played like a songwriters in the round thing at Shawano Folk Festival, and Jack Williams was on that's the stage with me, and he had got done playing, and I was like, oh boy, you know, listening to a song, one of my songs after playing with, you know, right after him is like hopping out of a Ferrari and getting on the public bus.
That's a great analogy. Well, and Jack's a great example of somebody that's found his own voice. I mean, his songs are like only Jack Williams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who else could? Jack's probably never written a song. I mean, I shouldn't say for him, but my guess is when Jack writes, he probably hardly anybody is he's not going to write a bunch of hit songs. You know what I mean? He's writing songs that are part of this. It's kind of like kind of his whole life story, and all his songs are they're just like vignettes, and they're really polished, and of course they really, really come to life with somebody that plays. That's, you know, he's got a unique style of playing. He's got a unique style of singing. The whole thing is one big package.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting, especially in folk, you mentioned kind of not the hit song. And I think that has to do with like the intention of writing specific things, you know, like the ashtray was this color and my grandma's name was Grace, and you know, whereas opposed to like pop music is very general, so that lots of people can kind of put in their own feelings or emotions or audio pictures in their heads.
Yeah, that's well said. Yeah, definitely well said. And but sometimes, you know, you write songs. I mean, so many songs that have had success for certain writers, and it's all relative. You know, in the folk world, and the pop world, and the whatever rap world. But it's often not the song the artist would have thought. You know, it's not maybe their most favorite song or the one that they felt they got the most inspiration from or whatever, but it's some song that for some reason, that's the one that the public or the majority of people that you've played for really embrace. You know, like I have a real simple song called Safe Home that I wrote in Ireland, which I go to a lot. And geez, my guess would be if I didn't write another song and I faded off into the sunset, one song that will probably live on of mine is this song called Safe Home that I wrote in a very quick fashion driving across Ireland, and I just kind of wrote it for fun. I actually wrote it in my head, which I usually have my guitar, but I wrote it in the car, and then I my buddy had a bouzouki, and I didn't even know how to play one. I just found the 1, 4, and 5 chord, you know. And anyway, but that song, you know, it's been recorded by all kinds of Irish people and Americans, and it's sang at so many events. I mean, hardly a day goes by I don't get some email from somebody who says, "Oh yeah, our scouting group sings that at the end of every one of our gatherings," or somebody will say, "Yeah, we sang that song at my mom's funeral last week," or you know, just all these occasions on one little song that. So I guess the point I'm saying is just write the songs and let's see where they go. You know what I mean? And let the universe and other people, mankind, whatever, take them where they're going to go. And meanwhile, we're back home writing our next song. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, gosh, it's been really great talking to you. You're such a song well of flowing information and inspiration. So thank you so much for taking the time today.
Yeah, Stan. Yeah, good to see you, man. And
yeah, you too.
Larry Fest, or I guess we won't have a Kerrville this year. They're gonna. Did you hear that?
No, I got the email that said they were thinking about not doing it. I didn't see the one that said they weren't.
Yeah, they canceled.
Oh,
They
okay.
canceled, and they're doing a 10-day thing in October, October 8th through the 18th.
Uh-huh.
And, yeah, but
Good.
hopefully you're doing okay. They're hunkered down during this quarantine time.
Yeah, we're doing great. We bought a trampoline and the kids are home and I've been playing music with them and jumping and having lots of bonfires. So
Yeah. Yeah, we're too. We're cooking up a storm. I made some potato leek soup yesterday. My wife, Joe, I showed you that thing I posted the other day. She's making homemade bread. She's making it like every day now, which is usually she just makes it occasionally, but she's giving it to everybody up and down the street. And now she's sending some off to family in the mail. It's all fun though, man. It's all good. So,
yeah.
yeah.